Nathaniel Gavronsky here. Today is August 31st, 2021. Today marks the end of America's longest military conflict in the War on Terror. Shortly after the attacks on September 11, 2001, it brought down the Twin Towers in New York City and damaged extensively the walls of the Pentagon and took the lives of thousands of Americans, some on the ground and some in the air. The United States sought out the perpetrators of that attack. These people were known as Al-Qaeda, and they were being harbored by the Taliban in the nation of Afghanistan. The United States sought out the Al-Qaeda fighters and decided that it was time to remove the Taliban from power as well, because they harbored the Afghan terrorist cell, Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda is made up of fighters and people from around the Middle East. Some from other parts of the world as well. Most of them are not Afghani. A lot of them were Saudis. Some are Yemeni. Some are Persian, from Iran. Some were from other parts of the Muslim world. And there were probably a lot of them that weren't really Muslim, but were just psychotic, that took the opportunity to go destroy human life. That conflict took the lives of thousands of Americans. It's true. It was bloody. At the same time, we gave freedom and opportunity to millions of Afghan citizens that for the first time got to experience it. Singing, dancing, education, political involvement, having a career. We gave that to them. We gave them the taste of what it was like to not live under the veil. And 20 years later, we have surrendered all of their freedom and our pride so that President Joe Biden could have given a press conference on 9/11/2021 stating how America's longest conflict had ended. The drawdown and retrograde of American armed forces is not something that people were against. Donald Trump supported the idea. In fact, he's the one who negotiated some of what was going to happen with the Taliban. Thing is that those negotiations were based on conditions on the ground. The Taliban's behavior was a huge deterring factor in the removal of American assets from Afghanistan. In fact, the date had been pushed back several times because the Afghanistan Taliban had not followed through on their requirements to the agreement. The date was originally in May. It was pushed back. It was pushed back some more because the Taliban were not behaving. They were not doing what they were supposed to do. And at that point, it's possible that the American armed forces might not have left Afghanistan. That is entirely possible. However, the way we did it, we took our military out first and left all of our citizens, left all of our equipment, and left our allies to the wolves. This has been a dark stain on American history, and this is something that we're going to have to live with for a very long time. There are still hundreds of American citizens on the ground in Afghanistan who don't want to be there. There are thousands of allies, people who risked everything to help the United States of America and protect our soldiers, that are being abandoned, being left to the Taliban. Many of them are being slaughtered as we speak. I am working across several states with several members of Congress and the U.S. Senators to get some of these people out. One of them, tragically, was on the phone with their family just when they were murdered. There are cultural significant people from the last 20 years in Afghanistan that are being murdered because they are who they are. There was a famous folk singer who was singing Afghani folk songs, playing a traditional Afghani instrument, that was executed by the Taliban because singing is now illegal. Dancing is now illegal. Music is now illegal. Patriarchy much? I mean, women can't go out in public without a chaperone. Patriarchy much? They can't go to school. They can't get a job. They can't hold elected office. And, that talk about the pay gap, right? Talk about equal opportunity for women and minorities, right? In under the Taliban, if you were gay, you're thrown off the tallest building they can find, and if you survive that, you're thrown off again. gay rights, right? LBGTKQ. I don't know the letters, to be honestly. I always try to remember that, and I never can. LGBTQ plus, I think it is. They're throwing off bridges, they're throwing off buildings. If they survive, they're thrown off again. That doesn't sound like equality to me, but that's the Taliban for you. But those are our allies. Joe Biden said they are our friends. We can trust them. We negotiate with them. You know, at least when Trump tried to negotiate with them, he kept his end of the bargain. You know, you want to mess around? Find out what happens. They messed around. They found out what happens. You know, the Taliban thought that they could get away with it, so they tried to test their assumptions, and President Trump showed them just where they were what was gonna happen if they did it again. Under Joe Biden, the Taliban were able to take Afghanistan so quickly that when they reached Kabul, they weren't ready for it. When I was talking to Senator Marco Rubio from Florida recently, he told me that when the Taliban got to Kabul, they were looking for cops and people to run the city, and there weren't any. And so they reached out to the United States security forces, like, hey, can you secure Kabul? Because we're not prepared to run the city yet. We're not ready. Really? I mean, this is madness. We deserve to treat our allies better than this, and we deserve to treat our citizens better than this. And for a publicity stunt of being able to say on the 20th anniversary of 9/11 that the war was over, that's why you were such a rush. August 31st was an arbitrary date picked randomly just because they wanted to have, be able to get everyone out in time for Joe Biden to write a speech. Now we got to send our guys back in clandestine to get our actual citizens and our allies out of harm's way because of a publicity stunt, because a date that was arbitrarily picked. I can't find many Republicans or Democrats that believe that we need to stay in Afghanistan. Actually, I haven't found any that agree that we should stay in Afghanistan. Equal number believe that the way we left was a complete disaster. And August 31st, 2021 will be remembered as a dark day in American history for as long as we all live, for a publicity stunt, because he wanted to give a speech noting his successes as president where others were not as successful. People's lives were lost over a publicity stunt. People's lives were destroyed for a publicity stunt. Let that sink in. This is really hard. I'm working across several states to try to get some of our people out. I'm working with people, State Senator in Iowa, Zach Nunn, Congresswoman Miller Meeks, Congresswoman Don Bacon, Senator Joni Ernst, Senator Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio. I've reached out to several other people like Mike Garcia out of California. This is an absolutely horrible thing that we are all dealing with right now. Your members of Congress are trying to clean this up. They really are. All of them are working very hard to fix this mess. But it was all preventable. And I want everyone to know that. This was all preventable. I hope everyone is able to kind of process this stuff, understand what's going on, and I hope we all think very, very deeply about the choices that we make, because those choices have implications on hundreds of thousands of people across this planet. This is Nathaniel Gavronski signing off from the Capitol Hill in Des Moines, Iowa. Until next time, stay healthy, stay wealthy, stay wise, and as always, stay classy.